Anyway, John, how are you doing?
I've got really bad earache. Joe, it started in my throat a couple of days ago, and it's worked its way into my ear.
That's rubbish, mate.
But apart from that, I'm fine. I think I've actually caught my
this?
first cold in about 2 years. I think that's what it is.
Oh, mate, there's loads of that going around at the moment.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Trowbridge and John Ponting in Cricklade.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sheer Isolation with myself, John in Cricklade, and Kieran in Trowbridge. Hello to Kieran.
Hello, John.
I just want to pick up on one point from last week's show. We had Alan Pettifer on, who we interviewed, and had an absolute laugh with him. Absolute stunning guy, and had us in stitches all the way through. And it was such a difficult one to edit down because he was just on it, wasn't he?
He was absolutely fantastic.
Promoting the Credwell music group that he's setting up. Now, as our show went out into syndication last week, we learnt that Alan was taken ill during one of his gigs, and he was rushed into Taunton Hospital. He's going to be out of action for a while, but he is recovering, which is good news. But it does mean that he can't attend his first Credwell music night. So initially, people were thinking, this is going to have to all be cancelled. But what's happened is that the people who have been booked in and the musicians who are attending and playing, we've all got together, show must go on style, and we're all playing our part. So the Credwell music night is still going ahead. I believe it is fully booked. Yeah, I'm on the door. I'm doing door duty apparently.
Oh, well done, John. That's amazing.
So I'm being useful because I what else can I do in myself? I'll just stand on the door if your name's not down style. But obviously we wish Alan all the best and hopefully he'll get well soon and be able to come along to his next night, which should hopefully be in a month's time.
So get well soon, Alan.
Okay,
right.
onto the bands. Joe, one thing I didn't realise I missed until the weekend. I was at a family wedding. Congrats to Carl and Emily, and they had a live band.
Amazing.
The curious little big band who are based in Sirens.
Okay.
They're a tribute band, perfect for a wedding, and I've just missed that. Listening, watching all the grannies and that on the dance floor having a boogie with their gins.
Yeah, nice.
Bit of live music. We haven't had that for 2 years, have we? I've really missed that.
No, that's right. It's all very well us doing these gigs and really thinking that we're cool and trying to be edgy, but actually music in general plays a bigger part in the world and society. And actually, you're absolutely right. You just don't realise it, but things like weddings and birthday parties and etc. have a bit of music. And actually, it's a really important part that people, of life that people enjoy. So yes, I don't doubt for a second that you thoroughly enjoyed that, John.
Did indeed, yes.
Although, John, the flip side to your lovely, heartwarming story is that a friend of mine who will go nameless, he works for one of the really cool record labels that I follow and love. He was on Twitter just today complaining that a band who was a support band to the headliner had played their set and buggered off. Now, even before COVID, the expectation was that if you're going to go to a gig, you're there for the gig, you stay for the show, and you make friends and you make the scene. Yeah, you sort of communicate, you become friends, and all that. Already, bearing in mind that gigs have barely got back to starting and going ahead, but already gone back to the old way of a band come, they do their set, they bugger off. Guys, if anybody's listening to this and you're a support band, just stay for the drink, man. Watch the headliners. Do your bit. Be the scene. Be the change you want to be, yada, yada, yada. But come on, we haven't had a gig for 2 years. Bloody enjoy it. See it through to the end at least. So, he was right to. I think that's fair to be upset. We've been out of action for so long, and straight away, bands are just playing their 30 seconds of going home. It's a bit like going to an open mic, playing your crappy song and then leaving. Dan Lassac, Scroobius Pip, that's one of their lyrics. Don't be that guy. Enjoy the music, enjoy the scene, make friends, have a drink, enjoy watching other bands, make connections. That's how the industry works. That's how it thrives. If you're playing your set and going home, you're probably doing yourself fewer favors than you think.
That was spoken from the heart, wasn't it? Thank you for that, Kieran. We'll play a tune.
Let's do
Sounds of the
placement.
Sirens.
Sound of the Sirens. Girl two-piece duo, singer-songwriter, folky, sort of almost traditional stuff, lush harmonies, very good players, sort of newish, southwest based.
Wonderful. Cheers for that. And this track is Lie Awake.
We lie awake at night and we wonder why we have to break inside to appreciate this ride. You stand there bold, your flaws are all told. We have no hold of how this unfolds. For now the rivers will take control over any old doubt that you hold with your delicate mind. You're drawing hopes in mine, and to my surprise, could I be falling for those eyes? Here now, forgetting the pain, there's no more self, here left to shame. It's here, everything else I fear can hold on for one more year. I'll stop worrying about it, let my mind be still. For this worrying won't change what's at the top of this hill. I'll stop worrying about it, let my mind be still. For this worrying won't change what's at the top of this hill. Your eyes so wide, they swallow me down, light up inside. I feel like I'm found. Today nothing can take away the wonder that we create. For now the rivers will take control over anything else that you hold can hold off for one more year. Here now, forgetting the pain, there's no more self, here left to shame. It's here, everything else I fear can hold off for one more year. Here now, forgetting the pain, there's no more self, here left to shame. Here now, forgetting we have to break inside. No more self, here left to shame. It's here, everything else I fear can hold off for one more year. I'll stop worrying about it, let my mind be still. For this worrying won't change what's at the top of this hill. I'll stop worrying about it, let my mind be still. For this worrying won't change what's at the top of this hill.
That
There we
is
go.
Lie Awake from Sound of the Sirens.
Yeah, product placement, John. Product placement.
Go on then.
Yeah,
Go on. What have you got?
I've got this. They fell from the sky. Look at that. Look at that great artwork. It makes me feel like a teenager again, John. I'm 38 and I feel like 16. So if anybody doesn't know, They Fell from the Sky is Colin Doran from 100 Reasons, the guy with the crazy hair. It's his new band. He's come out with this debut album called Decade, which I tell you now confused the hell out of me because there was a band from Devices who was signed to Sony called Decade. Anyway, unrelated, but this is their new album. It's the vinyl. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Ah, look at that. Spinning around at 33 RPM, rocking in your ears. And I'm dropping it and scratching it probably. Anyway, you thought, wow, that's product placement. We're done. No, there's another thing. Look what I got in the post. It's a tape cassette. The broken tape cassette. So you all thought that cassettes had gone the way of the vinyl before it all got reborn. Well, that's not true, because Pulled Apart by Horses, a band you probably know, John, they put a rather cryptic message on their mailing list saying, send us your address. So I sent them my address, like you do, random email on the internet, and they sent me a secret tape cassette. And it's their brand new track. And on the little print at the bottom of the cassette, it says exclusively licensed to Alco Pop Records, which means their new album was coming out on my favorite label, Alco Pop. There
Double
you go.
product placement.
Exciting. That's a great way of marketing, that is. Isn't that fantastic?
So Pulled Apart by Horses have got a new track coming out, and the other vinyl, I'm assuming, is on general release. They Fell from the Sky.
Yeah, that's general release. You can buy it now. It costs £20 on some website. That'll do.
Chaos in your background.
Chaos.
Right, let's talk about this week's guest. We didn't even talk about him in the introductory link, but we're talking to Jonathan Dean, who is the owner, I guess is the best word of describing it, of Innox Mill in Trowbridge, who is looking to redevelop the site.
So John came, I met John through I went to one of the markets, and they had this musician play, and you could see what they were trying to achieve, a little bit of market ambience, get a bit of music, makes the whole thing feel a bit nicer. And I was like, John, mate, would you like me to arrange some local music from some local musicians to play? It'll be a laugh. And he said, yeah, crack on, please, mate. And so we did, I think, 4 or 5 markets every month on the bounce. And we had loads of local musicians play. And there were some incredible stories. And I think I've touched on a few of them over the weeks where I've said, what I've been up to. For example, we had a Turkish musician and he played some Turkish songs, and one of the stalls was a Turkish lady selling T-shirts, and she just cried because she hadn't heard anybody from Trowbridge that had Turkish heritage play their music of their homelands, and all of a sudden she felt this inclusion that she was not expecting. And so that's kind of how we met, and we spoke to each other. We talked about our love and vision for music in Trowbridge, and that very much coincided with how we feel. We very much got on very well. We were in a very similar sort of mindset. So I did a lot of chatting with him. I introduced him to some people that could potentially help make Innox Mills this vibrant place that he wants to achieve. And so I thought now was a good time to invite him on to the podcast to talk about the site. There's a lot of chatter going on social media, on Facebook, and it's better if you just hear it from the man himself. So this is John talking about the Innox Mills offering, the timeline, the expectations, the task ahead of him. It's all exciting. So this is John.
Innox Mills is formerly the old Bowyer sausage factory, and we being my family and I, we purchased the site in 2016, and it's been a sort of a long, hard road to get to the point where we're at now, which is we've submitted an application for 300 homes and about 50,000 square feet of commercial use. So you have Innox Mills, which is the big master plan, and then you have the Innox Quarter, which is heavily focused on existing buildings and warehouses, where we essentially want to bring our own little piece of Camden to the site, to the town, to the area. We are starting with, and I'll be frank, it's not the most exciting thing to start with, but we're starting with these some of the buildings on Stallard Street, which is right next to the station, 7 to 9, and we're going to bring those back to use under its residential guise, which is what it currently has planning for. We're going to be renting it out for co-living, and then the more exciting part of that phase is to bring the next 2 buildings on Stallard Street into use for artwork studios. Super excited about that because I've already been in conversations with a few people from the art community in Trowbridge, and it's actually it's a lot larger than people realize. The problem is it's just scattered all over the place. So what we're going to try and do is create a sort of an epicenter, a hub for it, to create this, to give a home to the art community, because the community is there, but it just needs to sort of been brought together. And one of the things we're looking at doing is, once we open up the pathway between the station through the site into the town centre, we're going to be holding a competition for art murals to go up on the hoarding. So very similar to what Miller did. We'll probably get back in contact with Miller as well. But we want to hold a competition for all artists to sort of put forward what their ideas and visions are for that walkway gallery, and get them to light it up, essentially, and create something quite cool and unique to, well, certainly unique to the town. Once that's done, we'll probably hold another competition for one of the existing houses. If you look at the corner of number 9, it literally leads onto the station and onto the road coming down towards Wicker Hill. And we thought we'd try and get something Banksy-esque on there. Hopefully, Banksy, if you're listening, the wall is there. It's all yours. We're not going to sell it. I promise. I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. That would be awesome. But, jokes aside, we really want to, light up that area and give it some colour and actually set the tone for what we want to create within the whole Innox quarter, but, the whole area. So that's what we're doing imminently. We start work on the houses potentially in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I would hope to have everything done, certainly 4 of the buildings done by the next 12 months. So that walkway will be up and running. Well, in fact, the walkway will be up and running hopefully in the next 6 months. But the arts work studio, I'm quite excited about that, if I'm honest.
You made reference to Miller there, who is a graffiti artist effectively, and they've already done a sort of eco nature sort of scene, haven't they, on the side of the hoardings that face the bus stop. So if you're in Trowbridge and you're aware of the buildings, when you come out of the train station, there's some derelict buildings there. An eyesore is probably a bit harsh, but like they're beautiful buildings that could potentially be made amazing. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to make them look amazing. You're going to make them useful, bring them back into use. And I think from a Trowbridge person point of view, if you have people visiting the town, say they get the train to work and they come work in Trowbridge, when they step off the train, the first thing they see at the moment is a derelict building. In a year's time, the first thing they're going to see when they walk off is the beacon of investment, that person, the change that's happening within the town. They're going to see those new buildings. And obviously, hopefully, people who watch and listen to this are going to understand the greater scope of what's going to happen here. And you've already been delivering some of that, because if you go back to last Christmas or last winter, you did an outdoor cinema on the grounds of the Innox.
We did the drive-through cinema in the summer. And then we did the Christmas market during Christmas, obviously.
Got you. Yeah, sorry, I've got. So you've already been doing really positive stuff within the site, and I think anybody that comes to the site can see the potential, the possibilities. And I don't want to get in drag Frome into this, but you see what happened in Frome over the period of sort of 10 to 15 years. I really feel that we're at the beginning of a similar development within Trowbridge that within 10 to 15 years is going to be absolutely incredible place to live.
I couldn't agree more. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's not just what we're doing, it is what the entire town are doing. You've got some real champions there that are really help turn this town around. Okay, it might not be out there in your face, but it's all these little elements which are starting to come together and starting to rebuild that confidence and that identity that the town so desperately needed for a long time. As I said, it's not necessarily in your face at the moment, but with all these ingredients coming together, slowly but certainly surely, it's going to start creating this fantastic, let's say, piece of art. It's a really exciting time for the town as a whole. And we're just happy to be, contributing to that. One of the things we want the Innox Quarter to be is not to take away from the high street, but actually be a feeder to the high street. So on top of the elements I've already mentioned, we're going to be starting on Stallard Street. The next step is to then try and bring forward some exciting leisure options. So the Dye House, which is the building which protrudes out of the site right next to the river, currently talking to a great guy who has got a vast amount of experience in bringing forward very cool, trendy restaurant bars, and we're looking at that. Will be the first leisure element we'll be looking to bring forward for the site. And one of the things that I think will make it really stand out is the rooftop element. So yes, quite a bit of money will be going into trying to create a very cool rooftop bar, not just a terrace, but an actual bar where people can hang out there all year round.
What kind of timescale are you looking at? Because this sounds like a really mammoth task, and you must have a big team of people behind you. But even so, that's not an overnight job, is it? You must be looking at years.
Assuming planning goes favourably, you'd be looking at getting that granted anywhere between the next 6 to 12 months. If it goes the way we're hoping it will, then 6 to 9. But I think you have to give at least a year for any unforeseeables. Once that's taken place, we would be looking to bring forward a development partner who can carry out the new build element, which that process is actually already starting to take place now anyway. So hopefully once we bring a partner on board, what will then happen is once planning is granted, you'd be looking at going out to tender from the construction element. That takes a good few months. So best case, work could start on the site with in terms of the infrastructure and some of the detailed planning we've applied for in the next 18 to 24 months. But that's, as I said, that's for the new build element. With regards to the existing buildings, where not just local residents can make use of, but the rest of the area, we're looking at bringing that forward. Well, as I said, we start work on some of the houses within the next 4 weeks. I would hope to finish Stallard Street within the next 12 to 18 months. The restaurant rooftop bar, we're looking at starting within the next 12 to 18 months. And there's other elements as well. We're constantly talking to other people who are buying into what the vision of the site and can see what potential is there. Kieran kindly is introduced us to a lovely gentleman who is interested in setting up a music studio there potentially. We are looking at also creating co-working space. I'm talking to a couple of companies about coming on board and running that. So the existing buildings we would hope to have up and running anytime now between, I'd say, 6 months to 3 years would be fully up and running, hopefully.
From people looking outside of town looking in, there's a lot to be excited about and potentially jealous about as well, because these things are not happening in Devizes, which is where I spent 22 years. They're not happening in surrounding towns. All these wonderful things are happening in Trowbridge, and that is quite a wait for the county town to finally be getting their crack and their time to come good.
I hate to sort of use the expression, Rome wasn't built in a day, but that's very much, sort of the view we've had to take with this. It's got phenomenal potential. It's got its issues, but myself, my father, the family, we're in it for the long term. So we're not just here to, build, flog off, move on to the next. The way I see these buildings, they're going to be within my family, hopefully, for next 20, 25, 30, 40 years. So it's so important to us to make sure that they're treated with, respect, and they're used for the right things. I think going back to the artwork studios, to be able to actually give artists a home, which I believe will also be affordable for them as well, and yet that also works for us. That's great. Why would we change from that? It starts creating the soul and heart of the site, and it's incredibly exciting. But as I said, that's the first step. It's a long road to, I don't really like comparing us to Froome. And you can imagine we get that a lot. Oh, Froome did this, and that's
yeah,
wonderful.
we do.
But that's Froome, and it's got its own identity, and it's got its own thing going, and it's awesome. Not knocking it. It's fantastic. And look, if we can get something like that, that'd be awesome as well. But I think we have, and I'm probably going to create some opinions out of this. I think we've got more going for us in terms of element wise, that if it's pulled together correctly, I think we could be better.
Well, we certainly got scope to be. We've got scope to be our own thing and be brilliant in our own right. 100%.
Kieran, we've got plenty there. So is there anything you want to wrap up with? A final question, or because you weren't going to pick a tune, were you, John? Because you didn't have any.
We're going to pick something on your behalf.
Who was the remember you brought a guy lad put down to the market and he had a hell of a voice.
Yeah. That was a guy called Ben.
He was quality. I mean, he really stood out.
Okay. I will find you a Ben Borrill track then, don't worry.
So that tune is called Rivers. It's by Ben Borrill.
Ben Borrill. Yes.
Close. That was close enough. Who is one of the musicians who has played at the Innox Mill market, which is, I'm assuming, still happening every month?
So they are not doing one in October because they had a beer festival. So instead, they are doing one in November and December. The December is the Christmas market.
Brilliant. We really haven't got that much time for anything else. Have you got any news? If you have, make it snappy.
We have got news, John. We've got some amazing news. So as you'll know, friends of the show, The Lost Trades, their album, which was released about 3 months ago, has this week charted in the top 40 folk chart. So this is the official top 40 folk charts. Whispering Bob and Keris Matthews on Radio 2, etc. The official top 40 folk, they've come in the top 40 with their debut album. And what's wonderful about that is obviously they release it and announce it with a bit of drive and advertising and all the rest of it. 2 months down the line, that album is still picking up new listeners. It's still picking up plays. It's still picking up radio play. And that's a truly great sign of a good album, a strong album, and a band that people are getting interested in. So well done to the Lost Trades. Well done to Phil and the gang, to Jamie, to Tamsin. We're incredibly proud of you. And what's more brilliant for me as a promoter is that the band happened to be playing for me next Friday in Trowbridge at the very first gig at Emmanuel's Yard. and they're going to be opening for John Gone. So if you're listening and you want tickets to two incredibly exciting acts, we're really pumped for this. Speak to Lost Trades. They have discounted fan tickets. So get your tickets from them. Alternatively, get them from We Got Tickets or See Tickets. But just this week, tickets have really picked up very strongly, probably because of the Lost Trades news. So delighted and excited.
Wonderful. What was the date of that?
Friday, the 15th of October.
Wonderful. Cool. If you want to get in touch with us, sheerisolation.co.uk or sheerisolation@gmail.com. I'm not sure when our Zoom's going to run out, Kieran, but it's flashing at me to say
it says less than a minute, John. Less than a minute.
Yes. So thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Cheers for that, Kieran. Thank you. Goodbye.
Ciao.